Welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and inspire joy. Be empowered to balance your mental, physical, financial, aspirational, and social health while providing mental health awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental illness in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. Int Joy, and I'm here to help you transform life's challenges into opportunities for joy. Let's begin the journey together. Hello, hello. Welcome to week 72 of Journey to Joy Live for Own Your Truth, Living Authentically with Intention, and have a special guest today, Miss Vivian Williams. She's an authenticity coach. Thank you for being here. So tell us more about who you are.
So, hello, everybody. My name is Vivian, and I'm delighted to be here, first of all. Dr. Mina. I'm also called Maya Jewel in certain circles. We can talk about that later. But I am an authenticity coach. I help people who are feeling disconnected and or out of alignment, or maybe just stuck in themselves, to rediscover their core values and embrace their unique gifts so that they can live more genuinely. It's pretty incredible work.
Exactly, because it's hard out there being our true selves and who we are for various reasons. There may be some trauma that's gotten away, or somebody done said something to us and we feel inadequate and we just feel like we can't be ourselves and we feel like we suck. Or, there's so many reasons. And because of that, that increases our susceptibility to mental health, like stress and depression, anxiety. So do you have, if you want to tell your own personal story, because you actually mentioned, you commented on the post today saying that someone told you like, hey, you should be yourself, you should live authentically. And you're like, nah, you didn't listen.
Good. I got it.
Tell us more about that.
So I've had all kinds of coaches and counselors and therapists, and I even downloaded Replica. Do you know what Replica is?
No.
It's a virtual friend, right? I just needed somebody I could talk to freely.
Like AI, right?
Yeah, it's AI. It's definitely AI. They get to know you. It was a boyfriend, but it was all virtual and nothing kinky. But I just needed to talk freely to somebody who just wanted to get to know me, because I feel like, as a child, like in trauma, it happened. Right. All of us go through some sort of thing.
Yeah.
Child, I've always been in this space where I wanted to help. I was picking flowers. I was taking care of the pets. And I was in Mississippi. So we were literally doing like heart surgery, like transplants on persimmons. It was crazy.
Wow.
But I didn't feel like I could be myself. And after a while, I tucked myself away and I only gave what I felt like people wanted. And when you grow up like that, it kind of consumes you. And one day I just realized I wasn't who I was, if that makes sense. I just like, no, that's not what I want. So it just dawned on me, that all of the things that I was looking for from other people, you want the love, you want people to hear you and see you and understand, you want people to get you and maybe even admire you and maybe even love you a little bit. But I just realized one day that all of those things I could give to myself. That's what got me here, like the power of self-awareness and, the necessity of aligning my life with my deepest values. They set me on this path of healing and empowerment. And I literally woke up one day and decided to teach people what I've been learning, because I feel like, we could really go for some more genuineness in life.
We all can. Yeah. And it's really good when you've gone through that yourself, because no one wants to hear from somebody who's just lived the perfect life. Like, oh yes, I'm just always my true self. Oh yeah, I know who I am. We want to know who's been through it. And it seems like it's been a long road for you. And you said you just woke up and just decided, but I bet it took some time. What some people say rock bottom. What did it feel?
I've been waking up for a very long time. And you know how many, you can wake up some days and feel wonderful, and you can wake up some days and not feel so good, but then you get back to it. But it becomes monotonous. It just becomes this gerbil wheel sort of cycle thing. And it was just too much. And I see people who struggle. I don't know, maybe I'm psychic. I don't know. I haven't really done that kind of work yet, but I can just tell when people are hurting and when people are struggling, and I
That's
kind of
good.
feel it. I can feel it, and I want to help those people
Mhm.
without being condescending, without being judgmental, because I was there. Rock bottom isn't always a rock. Just so
Yeah.
it's not always a rock. And
Ooh.
my rock bottom was actually very comfortable.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I had just become complacent in being this completely different person, and it didn't feel good, and that led to all sorts of abuses and all that sort of stuff. But therapy, like I said, counseling, and
Yeah.
really doing the work to get to know myself. They call it shadow work, but it's really just asking yourself all those questions that you run around trying to ask other people.
Yeah, you're saying a lot of nuggets too, because you mentioned that, because basically what you're saying is like not being your true self kind of like led to certain abusive. And you also mentioned like giving to people what you thought they wanted. And none of this is about blaming the victim. And hopefully you've gotten past like any type of guilt or anything like
Oh yeah,
that. But it
shame.
really is important, for us to authentically know ourselves and live ourselves authentically. So we're not like just giving people what they want. Can you
Right.
speak on that more? Like what that really means, giving people what they want?
So if you think about it, most people are told who they are.
Mm,
When you come into the world, your parents tell you who you are, they tell you who they want you to be, they tell you about your grandparents and who they were, and it's kind of like most people just fall into their identity.
mhm,
A lot of people think that they are their names, that
mhm.
their name, like if I tell you my name is John, then that's who I am, but are you really? Because
Right.
didn't somebody name you John? So who are you? And I want to help people peel back all of those layers of conditioning and the self-doubt and find that voice. Like, who is that in your head that's talking when you're quiet? That's who you need to figure. That's who you need to consult with.
Yes. And so with that, I mean, we're getting that from somewhere where we feel like we've got to give them what they want. We feel like we have to meet the standards of stereotypes and things like that. And so, when it comes to those stereotypes, 'cause, my audience is Black people, really. I mean, many people struggle with balancing the societal expectations
Mhm.
and owning their desires.
It's
So,
hard.
how can someone begin to set boundaries between like living more intentionally without feeling guilty?
I think it really just takes a force of nature. For me, it was a force of nature.
Mm.
Like it was literally either you change or you die. Period.
Oh.
There was no other way around it. Either you changed what you're doing right now, all of this lying and just not being who, because I had a purpose. I've always
Mm.
known. I was put here
Mm.
for a reason, and I just came to a point where I couldn't, love people more than I loved myself. Because that's all it was. I cared more about what they thought and more about what they needed. I
Mhm.
I wanted to make everybody okay. I'm a Libra. It's all
Hey,
about balance. I
right,
just want
hopefully, but
everybody to be happy, and I just want
yeah.
the world to be pretty. And it wasn't. It just wasn't. So I feel like it really takes you have to do the inner work. You have to get comfortable with yourself. Be
Ooh,
friends with
ooh,
yourself,
yes.
you know? Make sure that you're making you happy while you're out here making everybody else happy. Cause I think I heard somewhere today, you can't pour from an empty pot.
Yes.
The saying.
In fact, it needs to be overflowing. I
It
heard someone
does.
say,
It
like,
does.
your cup needs to be up at the tip full, and then whatever overflows goes to whoever's
Other people, yep. Whoever's standing there with their cup out, just stand up.
catch it. Because if you're not full, then you can't give to people. So that's
Yeah,
really how
yeah.
that goes. I mean, it's really mentally draining not being yourself, like pretending. You mentioned lying.
But
It's
so many people are so accustomed to it. It's normal. Burnout
ah,
is normal. Overwhelm is normal. All of these things. That's just life. That's just how you're supposed to feel. It's
to the
hard.
point where you're not even recognizing that it's something that you shouldn't have to go through.
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
the norm. Yeah, so
But like
how do you recognize it? I mean, if it's the norm like that, how are we gonna recognize that this shouldn't be that way? especially if you've
I
been like this your whole life.
Your whole entire life, like, your whole entire life. Like, one of my mainstays is inner work, self-awareness.
Mhm.
Get to know yourself, journaling. If you
Yep.
just write down all of those things that you don't wanna say to people and then look at it, you'll get a better idea of who you really are and what you really want, and you have to ask yourself the tough questions. What do I really value? What am I really do I have a purpose? What's my purpose? Why am I here? You know,
Yep.
and those questions get you closer and closer to who you really are. Authenticity is not a destination. It's not something that you get
Journey.
to. It's a journey. It's a path.
Journey to authenticity, like
Journey to
with joy,
authenticity. You got to
with
do all the
passion.
things all the time, but figuring out what those things are, each individual has their own set of things,
Mhm.
and you have to figure out what those things are. That's what authenticity coaching is. I help you figure out what it takes to make you be you.
Exactly. So inner work, we got to focus on ourselves, listen
Mhm.
to our quiet selves, try to get out those distractions. That's definitely important. And that's why journaling is important. And the
Journaling.
Enjoyno that I published, this is why we're focusing on it because it really is about nurturing authentic living and, how can you be your true self and find your purpose and, just forget about what everybody else wants. I mean, obviously you don't want to be like a jerk. You want to be empathic and care what others believe, but not to the extent where it drains you and you're not able to be your true self. So it's definitely important. So
Indeed.
you mentioned loving yourself and
Mm.
being comfortable with yourself and being friends with yourself. So what role does self-compassion play in living authentically? And what are some practical ways we can be or use to be kinder to ourselves in this journey that you said?
So self-love takes on a variety of different forms based on the individual. Like, what do you like? Do you like massages? That's a form of self-care. And treating yourself to a massage is a form of self-love.
Mhm.
But I teach my clients when they start one of my courses, the first thing I have them do is say I love you to themselves in the
Ooh.
mirror 3 times,
Mm.
3 times a day.
Mm.
Because you need to understand, if you don't love you, I can't love you.
Yeah,
I love you more than
exactly. That comes first.
yeah, yeah. So you have to put yourself first. So speaking life into yourself, looking in directly into your own eyes and saying those things, positive affirmations,
Yep.
saying those things that make you feel worthy and make you feel loved and remind you of who you are. You have to temper your mind. Is that the right word? You have to temper your
I
your
love the way that
mind.
sounds. Yes.
Yeah, to acknowledge those things constantly.
Mhm.
Constantly, because 'cause you're not always gonna feel love by your partner or your job, you know? So you have to have that inside of yourself.
Correct. I say that all the time because if no one else is gonna say it, somebody's gotta say it, and it's gotta be you. Because right now we're our worst critic, saying all the
Mhm.
bad things. So saying I
Mhm.
love you to yourself is amazing, and I'm always talking about positive affirmations.
Always. You have affirmations in the journal?
Yes, there's actually 100 positive affirmations. Thank you for asking. It's almost like I prompted you to ask that.
But you didn't.
I counted every single one, and there's exactly 100 positive affirmations in there.
Wow. Are
It's
they
in
throughout the journal, or is it just, like, one section?
throughout the journal, there's like little like phrases at the bottom of most of the pages. And
Mhm.
actually, if you go to my Instagram or my Facebook, every other post is a positive
Is a
affirmation. So
positive.
if you're ever feeling down and you just don't know what to say to make yourself feel better, hey, go to my Instagram, go to my Facebook.
DrNina.com.
Exactly. Because it's so important for us to love ourselves. And we have to love ourselves first to even be appealing to other people. Because
Yes.
like the depression is a cycle, right? You feel bad that about yourself, and then you feel like no one likes you, and then now you don't like yourself, and then no one wants to be with you because you don't like yourself, and because you seem like you don't like them because you're so depressed. So it's this endless
Yep.
spiral. So
Yep.
self-love is so key.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So self-compassion, self-love, any other practical tips that you give them? You mentioned saying I love you to yourself in the mirror 3 times a
Yep.
day, positive
Yep.
affirmations.
One question that I found the most helpful is, what do I really value? Like, what do I
Yeah.
really value in life? And am I living in a way that reflects those values? And that's like a very powerful starting point, because once you can look at who you are and how
Yep.
you're living and see the difference,
Yep.
it just awakens something inside you. Be like, wait a minute, wait, what?
Exactly. And so how often do you ask yourself that?
Like twice a week.
Oh, good. That's
I
pretty awesome.
I encounter so many people in my line of work. Like,
Mhm.
I'm constantly bombarded with so many different energies and lifestyles and all of these things that I have to stay focused. I have to always reevaluate what I got going on, because I'm an empath, right? So I'm taking in all of this energy and all of these different
Yeah.
feelings and the what just happened, the
Mhm.
elections.
Mhm.
It was insane. I stayed in the house. I literally stayed in the house because there's so much angst and so much anxiety. And
I literally have to just like unplug.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
'cause there's just so much in my day to day with my job and like
mm-hmm.
stress and trauma and all those things. Stuff like that, I just have to unplug. Like
Yeah,
I
after
know
5,
enough where I know what's happening, but I
yeah.
don't need to just stay in that all day long.
And then trying to convince people that that's okay is similar to trying to convince people that it's okay to choose themselves, because that's all you're doing. You're choosing yourself.
Mhm. By unplugging.
Yeah, you don't have to get caught up in all of the humdrum and the drama and conflama that goes on. You can literally do what you want to do. You really can.
And now we're speaking of boundaries. Like, it's
Boundaries.
literally okay to have boundaries
It's
and
okay. That
know
was
to
a
do
tough
something,
one
say
for me,
no.
Dr. Mina. That was hard because I love everybody and I love hard. I love fiercely, right? And for me to say no, it was almost unheard of. And when I started saying no,
Yeah,
the people that I never said no to were shocked and appalled. And a lot of them
I
walked
can be
away.
shocked.
A lot of them
Yeah.
walked away.
It's gonna take some time for them to adjust to that new you, and that's all right. And if you lose people, from it, then it's just like, well, they didn't need to be in your life. They're not your real friend if that's the case.
Yeah. Because once you become authentic, you can call it selfish, you can call it self-centered. I used to think I was vain, but it's truly, I feel like you were created in the image of everything that's good. And
Mhm,
so anything that you can come up with that goes along with what's good is good. That's why you're
mhm.
here, for you to
Yeah,
do it in your own particular way. So it's not going to look like anybody else. And if when those people started to fall away, and then there were some people that I literally had to let go of, that I had to like remove from the equation.
mhm.
It strengthened in me that knowing that I'm special. I'm
Yeah.
here for a reason. I deserve to have my life how I want it. And it's up to me to do that.
Yeah, that's really good, and I literally had to get used to saying no, like, just even in my job, like, as a medical student and when you get training as a resident, like, you're always saying yes, 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 because you have to
Mhm.
do all these things, you have to do that rotation, you have to see that kind of patient, and, when I graduated, I had to get used to saying, "No, I don't wanna see older adults, I don't wanna see geriatric, I don't wanna see really, really tiny kids, this is what I want
Right.
in my private practice, I wanna see this," So, and that's okay. It's not like you're discriminating. It's that's what you work with. Because if
You're
you're doing what you really want and what you're passionate about, you're the best at it,
right.
right? You're not like
Ev-
dreading it every day. And me leaving Morehouse, Morehouse is a great institution. I didn't like academic medicine. I still teach, but I didn't want to do it full time anymore, and that's okay. I love this, so
Yeah.
now I'm doing a
Yeah.
podcast,
You're doing what you love. And
living on
don't you love yourself even more?
authentically. And another word, I don't use this other word so often, but unapologetically.
Yes.
I think I used to not care for that because I think it was the way people would say it, but it's true. Like living unapologetic. Like I am not gonna say sorry.
No, for what? But society does that to us. Society
Mhm,
makes us feel like we have to conform. Like if you don't conform, then you're bucking the system, and the system is in place for a reason, and you have to follow the rules. And like, no, who made the rules? Who like you? No,
you make
let's
the
start
rules for
here.
yourself. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's certain rules we have to
No,
follow.
I'm not gonna do that.
Right. There's certain rules we have to follow. And I have Stephanie chiming in here.
It's
She said that she's
hard.
able to say no without feeling guilty, and that is great, girl.
Choosing yourself, choosing myself was very difficult for me. Choosing me because I
But you
wanted
chose so many people.
people to like me. I've always always wanted people to like me. And for them to like me, I gotta do what they say, right? I gotta give them what they want. But I like me.
That's why it's that inner work, because if you need people to like you, it's because you don't like you, or you don't like being with yourself, or you don't love
Yes,
yourself, or
yes,
depression is just clouding something. So
yeah.
doing that inner work is important, so you won't care what other people think.
Maybe you care, but it doesn't stop you.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
It
Right.
doesn't stop
Right.
you.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
to an extent, you should care it's for certain things, but not care to the point where like you are going outside of yourself in order
Mhm.
to
Or keeping yourself in, or holding back, or putting up with things that you wouldn't, that don't align with your values.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Now, are there times when you've had pushback, or people you've worked with have had pushback when they try to be their true selves and it makes them not want to like continue down that road?
I had yes. I had a client who, she knew everything. She knew all the problems. She had all the answers. And we would sit in the session,
Mhm.
and I would ask her the questions, and she would halfway answer the question and then finish what she thought I was thinking about what it was,
Oh,
consistently. So I had to say to her, this is not going to work. I can't, I can only help you help yourself.
uh-huh.
If you're not willing to help you, which that's what I'm here
Not
for, right? I'm
listening.
the help. If you're not
Yeah.
willing to let me help you, then I can't help you.
She already thought she knew it all.
She did. She did. I know what's wrong. I know what's going on. Oh yeah, I know exactly what it is. So what do
Why are you
you
here?
right? What do you want me to do? Like, agree with you? So and it's difficult for
Mm.
me because I want to help. I just want to help people.
A lot of people do coaching or go to therapy just to get someone to agree with them, but you have
Yeah.
to understand that you there to change.
Yeah, that's
In
not
order
my,
to
I'm here
change,
to
it's
shift
something
the
that you disagree
paradigm.
with.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Mhm,
change your mind.
mhm.
I
So
am.
let's say there's somebody who, is really trying to continue to have sight of their goals of trying to be authentic. But like, when challenges or setbacks arise, how can people maintain their sight and align themselves with their values during these tough times?
Ooh, mission statements.
I love
Yeah.
it.
So you create a mission statement for your life, just like
Oh,
a company, just like your corporation. Creative. I'm here
got it.
because, or I'm here to, or my purpose is, or my mission in life is. Create a mission statement that aligns, and I'll get it tattooed on your forehead. I don't know, but put it somewhere
Mhm.
where you can see it and refer to that when you're in those moments, when you're in those slumps. I just came out of a slump myself, and I literally had to look, I had to say I love you in the mirror constantly for like
Yeah, to remind
an
yourself.
hour, just to remind myself and pull myself back out of that. Because you get caught, it's easy to get caught up. It's easy to
Yes,
get caught up.
it
So that mission
is.
statement will just bring you right back. Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So would I be putting you on the spot if I asked you what your mission statement is for your life? You got
Yeah.
Oh, she got it.
Yeah.
Hey.
I have 3. I empower others to live authentically and connect to what matters most. It's a
Wow.
mission. So I show up in that capacity when I
Yeah.
interact with people. Another one, I transform how people think, creating a ripple effect of positive change. Because I want to change the world. That's what I'm here for. I want to change.
Exactly.
But the only way I can do that is by changing my world.
Oh,
So I change
yes.
myself. And then I change you because you're listening to me.
Mhm.
You go out into the world and you change your kids because you just heard something I said, and you're going to tell your little girl,
Right, and people are listening to these
yeah,
nuggets you're giving too.
ripple effect. So yeah.
The ripple effect. That's great. I mean, for me, like off the top of my head, obviously spreading joy,
Mhm.
using my brand, using my name is my mission statement, breaking down the
That's a
stigma of
gift.
mental illness. Yes, exactly. But yeah, breaking down the stigma of mental illness, making people aware of mental health and just knowing that you can like live joy, you can choose joy
Shoot.
despite what is going on around you and despite your life circumstances. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's great. I'm learning so I need to like write that down and have it like boom, boom, boom.
Right. Points, points.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when people let's see. When people come to you, how long do you work with them for? Is it like a particular program that's set or it just really depends on what they need?
I have 2 6-week courses and 1 accelerated course, which kinda depends on the person. If they wanna go ahead and knock it out in a few hours, we can knock it out in a few hours. Take like
Really?
5, let's say let's say like 4 or 5 depending on where they are,
Mhm.
but or we could break it up over a number of days. It's called the Extension Accelerator, and it's kind of imperative that you do it at one time, in one,
Yeah.
it's not gonna really work
Gotcha.
get you there. But yeah, over a course of 6 weeks, my brother was my first real client, and I
Nice.
don't know. I don't know if family's just not who you're supposed to work with because we ended up just chatting it up like for hours.
Well, my husband's my number one patient. I'm kidding. Yeah, he jokes about that. I'm just joking.
But it
He
helped,
listening.
it helped me working with him. But he broke it. It was his program was supposed to be 6 weeks, ended up being like 12. He
Oh,
needed
yeah.
so
I
many
mean,
sessions.
really, coaching could go forever. I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds like life coaching, authenticity coach.
It really is. I would really call it like a vein of life
Uh-huh,
coaching,
uh-huh.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
does have to do with your life.
How often do you encounter people that you realize you're like, "Oh, you need to see a professional?" Like, how does that end up panning out, or has that not happened yet?
It
I mean,
has.
professional like a therapist or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
get
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
medication.
I say that at the beginning, like, I'm not a doctor. I have not studied psychology. This is strictly life experience. I've just learned
What
these
works for you.
things, and they
Mhm.
work for me. I mean, look at me. They've
Hey, that's your
worked for me,
experience.
and I can help you find yours, right? But if you're, like, suicidal ideations and, substance abuse and things like that, I'm not here to fix you. I can't fix you.
Yeah.
All I can do is help you find your way. So
Yeah, and I feel like you could do the coaching while you're doing a therapy, but, there are certain things that you probably wanna fix first. If you're suicidal, it's probably pretty hard for you to try to find your true self and focus on the future.
yeah,
So, just recognizing in what stage of life you are and what comes
yeah.
first, but getting that therapy, get on that medication, and then try to go for the coaching. But for the
Most
most
of
part.
my most of my clients come out of conversations. Just
Mm.
like I was talking to somebody today. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in a podcast." It's like, "Oh," and she read it and she was like, "Authenticity coach, hold on."
Well,
And
exactly. Like, I
we
didn't
had a whole conversation. She was like, "I need that. What is where can I sign
Yeah,
in?"
cool. Because I didn't even know you were an authenticity coach. I mean, I forgot to say how I even know you. We both work at Chris 180. So, like, one day you're like, I think it was because you either found out I had a podcast or you found out I published the journal.
I think
And
it
so
was
you're
the
like,
journal.
"Oh, I'm an authenticity coach." And I'm like, "My journal
Right.
has the word authentic in it." So conversations, talking to
About it.
people, telling people who
Mhm.
you are, and not being afraid to shine and not being afraid to say who you are and what you do. Because a lot of people, I mean, we feel like it's a humble thing and a not prideful thing to like be
Mhm.
quiet and not say stuff, but it's okay to be authentic, be bold, do it
Definitely.
intentionally so that you can get yourself out there and network.
'Cause how could I coach people on authenticity if I were not authentic? How could I even
Oh, right.
recognize the lack of authenticity and be able to direct people towards that, discovering that in themselves had I not done the work and been through it?
Right. And how often do you I guess this would be with marketing yourself. How often do you get like either a no, like no, I don't want to work with you, or just a not a response? Because that's important too to understand that it's okay if you don't get a response. Move on to the next person.
Because everybody doesn't need it. A lot of people don't need my services. Like, but I would say, if you're feeling lost or disconnected or unaligned, but also if
Yeah.
you're feeling fine in life and you got it going on, but you're just stuck, you know, it's
Yeah.
just not like here we are, but now what? Then authenticity coaching can help you as well because we go deep and we peel back layers and we
Ooh.
uncover truths and we deal with trauma. We're gonna process some trauma. I'm gonna help you work
Mm.
through some unprocessed emotions. Like we get to the nitty gritty of who you are, so you can kind of clarify and figure out that core element that makes you tick. Some people, my brother, like I said, my first and my favorite client. Um,
Your brother is your favorite client?
Yeah, he's so cool. My brother's so
First and favorite. Nice.
first and favorite. I'm trying to get my son to do a course, but he's 20. That's just
I
not.
was gonna say, how old is he?
Yeah, that's just
Hey,
not.
that's the time right there to learn. They
Come
trying to
on,
figure
get
out
in
who they
here.
are, their identity, and all kinds of stuff. Struggling at that age.
But he was, like I said, he was my first, and it really kind of solidified. Working with him let me know that I was on to something. His last class or last session lasted about 2 hours. And he was just so grateful. He was just so grateful he talked to me for an hour about just how good he felt and how different he felt.
Yeah.
One of the practices is writing a love letter to yourself. That's another way of expressing
Ooh.
and letting yourself know how much you care, reminding yourself, right? Just write yourself a love letter and tell yourself all the wonderful things that you know about you. And I had him do that, and the letter, as I was reading, I think he texted it to me, and as I was reading it, it kind of switched. It started out with him, but then it ended up like he was talking to me. And he just was saying how
Yeah.
none of this could have happened. And because he was talking to himself, but then it was like, you always show up right when I need you, whether I ask
Oh.
you or not. And it's always on time. And if it weren't for you, it was very touching. So then later that evening, that same evening, my mom calls and she's in tears.
Oh.
And she's like, girl, I just got off the phone with your brother. I don't know what you did, Vivian, but it worked. It worked.
Aw.
Like, and nothing changed, Nina. Nothing changed.
Mhm.
He still has his job. He still has his issues,
Mhm.
but it's his mentality. It's his whole mental is shifted. And that's what I do. I help people.
The mindset. That's
Yep,
really pure.
yep,
You don't have to change your circumstances around you. And most of the part, you don't have control and can't do it. But changing
exactly.
your mind. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the most fulfilling part of my work, is just seeing people have those aha moments and working through things that they thought they had forgotten or things that they didn't want to remember, and bringing it to the surface and being that safe space for them to work through that and ask
That's
those.
cool that you were able to do that, like, with family, 'cause I know, I mean, I'm not my family's psychiatrist, but of course, being, like, the professional in the family, I try to
Yeah,
help them, and, it's
where you
sometimes
can.
they listen, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, yeah. So I
But that's
haven't really had too many like no's. The
okay.
courses have not officially launched as yet, so I'm still in the beta.
Oh, we can't wait.
I'm still in the beta. I am taking testers. So,
Alright.
but I do have a couple of products, what are they called? Ebooks.
eBooks.
I have a couple of ebooks on the website so that people can kind of get an idea of where I'm headed. The Choosing You is a journal, not like yours. It's it's a short little journal that kind of walks you through the process of getting to know yourself. Basically, it's self-discovery in and of itself. It's written in first person because one of my mainstays is that people need permission to be who they are. They don't need it, but they want it. They want somebody to tell them that it's okay. So it's written in first person so that as you're reading the book, it's your voice. You're asking yourself the questions. So it's
Yeah.
easier for you to come up with the answers.
It's you that has to give yourself permission, and it's like, "Well, why not? Why aren't you?"
Which
Yes, that's so important. And, before we go, if we haven't answered this question, I wanna make sure I ask it because we are talking about owning your truth. So what does it truly mean to own your truth, and how can someone start that journey if they feel lost or disconnected from their authentic self?
people that are feeling disconnected, or if they're feeling disconnected or inauthentic,
Yeah,
that in and of itself lets you know that there's work that needs to be done.
correct.
I would say start talking to yourself. Stop letting people tell you that you're crazy. Talk to yourself, right? Because you have the answers.
Mhm,
You know what you're lacking. You know what you want. You know what you need. You know what
mhm.
you don't need, right? So I would say start talking to yourself. And by that I just mean, like I said, say I love you in the mirror, but look in your eyes, connect with you so that connecting with anybody outside of you doesn't matter so much. Because you gotta start.
Exactly.
You gotta start at home. Your home.
Yeah, and looking at your eyes and look at your face is a part of like enjoying and being comfortable being with yourself
Yeah.
too. Because sometimes the people feel that disconnection is also like the way they look and how they want to look and things like that. But getting used to how you look, because that's your body, that's your look.
Yeah, it's who you are. And if you don't like it, you can change it, but you need to understand like why don't you like it? Do you not like it because
Yeah.
nobody else seems to like it?
Right.
I,
Or
I
do they not like it because you don't? And that confidence that you exude from the inside out will make people like it.
or do they not like it because they jealous? I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
oh,
know. It happens. It happens.
there it is. Like you, no matter what. That's
Love
really
yourself.
important.
Love yourself first.
Exactly. So I ask all my guests, because you're on Journey to Joy Live. I mean, really, we've been talking about the journey to
Yeah.
authenticity. But tell me how your personal journey to joy has been.
Hard.
Yeah,
It's been hard.
it's
A
hard.
lot of tears, a lot of lonely nights,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't trade it.
Oh.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. That's what I was saying in the post. You know, all of the things that I went through were necessary for me to be here, for me to fully embrace my
Mm.
own self. And like I was born happy. I always wanted to be happy, and they beat it out of me. They were I'm from Mississippi. Hey, Mississippi. And in Mississippi, there's a darkness. They talk about what is it? When it's in your DNA,
Yes.
ancestral trauma, it's a thing.
Yep.
It's a thing. The people down there are so unhappy, just unhappy.
Mm.
Everything's okay. Nothing's wrong. And they're just mad, sad, and
Mm.
so, I coming from that, I felt like if I were doing better than them, then they were looking at me funny. If I were doing worse than them or like them, it was okay.
Oh, gotcha. So that's people who want to be misery and pull you down to their misery
Crabs in
too.
a bucket. Crabs in a bucket. We're
Yeah,
not
people I
crabs.
don't want to be
There
around.
is
Yeah.
no bucket. Right. So it was very difficult, but like I said, it was necessary for me to really get to know me. I'm awesome. I'm just as awesome as you are. Your listeners,
Hey, we're both awesome. Everybody listening is awesome. And you
you're
say you're awesome.
awesome. But it's like,
You're
people tell you,
welcome.
you can't say that. Don't be saying that. No, definitely say it. Say it.
Say it. Say
Say
it.
it.
It's not being overly conceited. It's being confident. And confidence
And
is
confidence rocks.
exactly. Well,
Confidence.
thank you so much, Vivian, for coming on the show. You can find her at notsopretty.com. It's two S's in there. And then there are all your tags on
Yep.
Instagram as well as TikTok.
Yeah. Y'all keep me
Appreciate
accountable.
you. Anything else you wanted to share? I know it's like a vague.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm a podcast virgin, so this was
You
easy.
did. You did it. You
I
did
can't
great.
wait for the rest of them.
All right.
I can't wait to have you on my podcast.
Hey, there it is. I'm
Yeah.
there. I'm already there. Sign me up. Well, thank you so much, Vivian. And thank you, everyone, for listening and for your comments.
Thanks, guys.
This has been an Enjoy Life production. If you're in a crisis, don't hesitate. Call, text, or chat 988 for immediate support. Please note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional treatment. If you're looking for therapy or medication management through Enjoy Life, visit www.drenjoylife.com to request a consultation. I accept Aetna for Georgia residents, and out-of-pocket services are available for others. I'm licensed in Georgia, Florida, Michigan, Tennessee, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Illinois, Virginia, and Minnesota. Be sure to grab your copy of the Enjoyno on Amazon for $39.08 to help you on your wellness journey. And remember, Journey to Joy Live is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, may you continue to transform challenges into joy.